So you've got a brand new Sonos sub Gen 3 and you're wondering how to get the most out of it. Or you're wondering whether a sub will work in your room in the first place. Stick around and I'll tell you everything you need to know. Hey guys, Jonathan here. Welcome back to another SHS video. Today we're talking all things Sonos sub Gen 3 so you can ensure you're getting the most out of it and how to avoid those dreaded no's in your room. Now, if you're on the fence about the Sonos sub, then I'd highly recommend checking out this video, which goes into whether it's actually worth it for you before watching this one. The essentials are that the Sonos sub connects wirelessly to any Sonos soundbar or certain Sonos speakers to bring you a much more enhanced bass output. You can purchase up to 2 subs per Sonos zone, and you have a color choice of black or white for a price of $749, but look out for deals throughout the year. Don't worry guys, if you have a Gen 2 or a Gen 1 subwoofer, what I will say in this video will be applicable to those generations as well. So as you probably know by now, the Sonos subwoofer Gen 3 takes your content to another level by freeing up some of the processing power from your Sonos soundbar and then diverting the lower frequencies to the Sonos sub where it is best handled. And if you have a sub already, I'm sure you can agree that it has changed the game for your setup in terms of bass, immersion, and feeling the content in your bones. I should probably point out as well, the sub is only compatible with the Sonos home speakers, not the little portable speakers, so you cannot pair this with the Roam or the Move, unfortunately. So how can you get the most out of your Sonos sub? Well, you need to think about its positioning, and you need to think about its orientation. Now, positioning being where exactly it's going to be in your room, and orientation being horizontal, vertical, stood upright, or laying down flat. So let's break that down for you. Starting with positioning then. Now, before you set up the Sonos sub or power it on, you're going to need to decide on a home for your sub. Now, the only thing this sub needs to get paired with your Sonos soundbar or speaker is a power socket and an internet connection. So keep in mind, you will need to give it mains power at all times. And the good thing about the Sonos sub Gen 3 is that it is non-directional, which means you have the freedom to position the sub wherever is most practical in your room, and it shouldn't have a significant impact on sound quality. Having said that, you don't want to go putting it in an enclosed cabinet, as subs are designed to generate the large bass wave, and for it to work at its best, you must not restrict the airflow. Now, you can stand it upright or you can lay it down flat to suit your home. I would highlight that Sonos designed the sub to be placed in either position, so don't worry about it impacting performance too much. I would say most customers place it next to the TV like we have it here, or next to their sofa, but we've even seen customers place it underneath the sofa laid down if you want to keep it out of view. Now, although it won't make a huge difference, it is worth noting that the most ideal scenario would be to position it at the front of the room where the TV is pointing into the room, like we have here, but I wouldn't overthink your sub positioning too much. It really is a case of finding the best spot in your room where your sub can live in that room for the long term. We can always make little optimizations and tweaks in the Sonos app, which I'll come on to later. You can even get a wall mount for the sub for about £55, and this will hold the sub securely on your wall for a more aesthetic finish. So that's useful for not taking up valuable floor space, but for most of you, this shouldn't be needed, and having it stood on the floor will be absolutely fine. Now, if you have 2 Sonos subs in your setup, first of all, congratulations, as I'm sure you have a pretty exceptional setup there. It was, in fact, only since last year that you were able to add a second sub to your Sonos system, and I'd probably only advise adding a second sub to your zone if you are truly a bass hunter and you have a very large room you need to fill. Maybe you've got like a media room with a Sonos Arc and you need the sound to fill a large area. Having 2 subs will give you that extra impact that you need. We have done a dedicated video on adding 2 subs in the past, so check that out if you're interested, but it does follow largely the same principles as adding a single sub. Ideally, keep them in the same orientation and direction if your room allows it. Now, even if you have the sub set up already, I'm going to quickly show you how easy it is to add a sub on the Sonos app so you guys can see what it looks like in the most recent app update. And who knows, you may even be tempted to add a second sub to your setup a little bit later. So once you set up your Sonos speaker that you'd like to pair the sub with in the Sonos app, simply plug in your Sonos sub and wait for the light to start flashing green, meaning it's ready to set up in the Sonos app. The app now automatically detects it and it prompts you to set it up. So once it pops up, you want to press add. It will say getting your sub ready, takes about a couple of seconds, and then it will connect to a temporary network. So you just want to continue. This is how it will connect to your Wi-Fi. So you press join, And of course, you want to make sure that the device you're setting it up on is the same network that your sub is going to be on. And then you just want to press the button on the sub with the flashing light. And then it should join. Finalizing connection should be all good from here. So here is where you can assign where you want your sub to go. So we want it to be in the Sonos Lounge Beam. And then it will add it and it will update. This will take a couple of minutes. So once the update's finished, you can then personalize it in settings, and you want to connect it to the room. And that's how you know it's on. So now it's bonded to your Sonos speaker. Whatever content you play, whether that's TV, movies, or music, the sub will play the bass tones. Okay then, on to step 2 for getting the most out of your sub, optimizing the sub for your room in the Sonos app. So first thing I'd recommend doing is definitely completing that TruePlay tuning setup on the zone that you've paired the sub to. If you have already TruePlay tuned the speaker, you will need to do the TruePlay tuning again once you've added the sub to it, and that does require an iOS device. And this will just ensure that your system is calibrated to the room and it's controlled as much as possible. Next, you want to open the Sonos app. Now, this is the S2 version that I have here, so things might look a little bit different for you if you're using the S1 app. You want to go to Settings, then tap System, then the product your sub is paired to, then you want to scroll down to Sub Audio here. So tap that, and you'll see some things you can do with your sub here, like you can turn it off and on temporarily. God knows why you'd want to turn it off. You can change the volume as well here, so if you want it to be even more impactful, then you can turn it up. But I do recommend using this with caution though, as you don't want the bass to drown out everything else. Phase control might also be something you've not come across before. It certainly wasn't when I saw it for the first time. But essentially, if you put it on 180 degrees, it will reverse the sound waves. So if you're finding that where you want to position the sub, it's just not sounding good, maybe because you've positioned it within a node in your room, which is like a dead spot in your room, you will know if you put your sub on a node if it sounds a bit flat. So you can flick this to 180 and you should notice a difference. Now this will be grayed out if you've already done TruePlay on the zone, because the sub will then already be optimized for the space. Now I would play a few tracks on how you've set it up after you've done TruePlay, and then see how you like it, and then come back to this page if you're not getting on with it for any reason. So guys, I hope you found that useful. We're really big fans of the Sonos sub, and if you love bass, I really think you will be too. If you guys have any tips you can share with the community if you have a sub, comment them down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.